The start of World War III. Russia-Ukraine conflict. What's next? Imagine waking up one day to headlines blaring. World War III has begun. Terrifying, right? But how close are we really to that nightmare scenario? Let's talk about the Russia-Ukraine conflict. A story of invasion, resistance, and geopolitical chess that's reshaping the world. How did we get here? It didn't start overnight. Decades of tension have been simmering between Russia and Ukraine, fueled by disputes over borders, NATO expansion, and a complex web of historical grievances. But the tipping point? February 2022. That's when Russian forces launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, shaking the global balance of power. For Russia, Ukraine isn't just another neighbor, it's a key piece of the old Soviet puzzle. Reclaiming Ukraine means reclaiming influence. But for Ukraine? It's about survival, independence, and resisting what they see as imperial aggression. The global ripples. This isn't just a regional war, it's a conflict with global consequences. Sanctions on Russia have disrupted energy markets, food supplies, and even access to everyday goods. Europe, heavily reliant on Russian gas, is scrambling for alternatives. Meanwhile, grain shortages from Ukraine, a major exporter, are hitting developing nations the hardest. And the alliances? They're shifting fast. NATO has doubled down on military support for Ukraine, while Russia's closer ties with China raise new questions about what a broader conflict could look like. NATO's role: defender or provocateur? NATO's involvement is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's providing Ukraine with the weapons and intelligence needed to resist. But on the other, Russia claims NATO's expansion toward its borders provoked the war in the first place. Is NATO protecting democracy, or poking the bear? Nuclear nightmares. Let's not sugarcoat it. Russia's nuclear arsenal looms large over this conflict. Putin has made veiled threats, and any escalation risks turning regional warfare into global catastrophe. Meanwhile, Ukraine's resilience has emboldened other countries to stand up to aggressors, increasing the stakes even further. What's next for Ukraine? Ukraine isn't just surviving, it's fighting back. Cities that fell early in the invasion have been reclaimed, and Ukrainian forces have surprised the world with their tenacity. But the question remains: how long can they hold out? With infrastructure battered and millions displaced, the human toll is staggering. Russia's gamble for Putin: this war is a high-stakes gamble. Victory could cement his legacy as the leader who restored Russia's dominance. But failure? It could destabilize his regime. The longer the war drags on, the more questions arise about the sustainability of Russia's ambitions. A broader conflict? The elephant in the room. Could this spill over into a larger war? Countries like Belarus are already providing support to Russia, while Finland and Sweden are abandoning neutrality to join NATO. Every move escalates tensions, pushing the world closer to a dangerous tipping point. The economic domino effect. This conflict isn't just fought with tanks and missiles, it's an economic battlefield. Sanctions, energy crises, and inflation are hitting economies everywhere. Even countries far removed from the front lines are feeling the squeeze, making this a truly global crisis. The human cost behind the headlines are millions of lives upended. Families torn apart, cities reduced to rubble, and a refugee crisis on a scale not seen since World War II. This isn't just a geopolitical struggle, it's a humanitarian disaster. What can we learn? History has taught us that wars often start with small sparks. The question now is whether cooler heads will prevail or if this conflict will ignite something far larger. Watch my next video to stay informed. Stay ready from the start of World War III.